Well, hello, everybody. This is Dr. Troy Dickwitz of the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action, and create big-ass results in your life and business. Today's topic is this: the myth of the overnight success. Dun, dun, dun. For some reason, I really like doing the dun, dun, dun thing. I probably just need to get a sound effect to do that. Anyway, so, hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. Look, if you don't know, you know today. This is going to be a sports analogy, a metaphor that I'm going to do. And so if you are a person who is not necessarily into sports, I promise you that this will still be applicable in your life. This is applicable in everybody's life, and I hope you've caught that in this podcast. I try to make sure that everything that I talk about is. So I am a St. Louis Blues hockey fan. I have been since I don't even know. I can't even remember when. I just know that as a kid, we used to play hockey out on the streets, and it's just been in my blood ever since. And so the St. Louis Blues, if you don't know, they are one win away from going to the Stanley Cup. Now, they still have a lot of work to do. But here's the point of this particular discussion, is that the reason that they are, one of many reasons, that they are in the position to do this is because of their goaltender, the guy who sits in the goal. And this guy's name is Jordan Binnington. Now, for those of you who don't know, the St. Louis Blues were in dead last coming into 2019. Last place, one of the worst teams in the entire league. And this team went on a win streak. They won an 11-game win streak. And that win streak put them into a position to be able to go to the playoffs, where they actually had a chance to be the number one team. Going from last to first, they had a chance to be the number one team. They go into the playoffs, and they are now one win a game away from going to the Stanley Cup. And when you look, you go log into ESPN or Fox Sports, one of the names that you will hear coming up every single time is one of the reasons the Blues are in this position is the goaltending of Jordan Binnington, this overnight sensation. And that I've even heard people talk about him being such an overnight success. And it's just crazy. 8 months ago, nobody even knew who he was. And now he is the overnight sensation. And the thing is what's so crazy and so asinine about that comment is that nobody looks at all the work that people put in. There is not such a thing as an overnight sensation. Maybe all of a sudden now people know who the person is, so it's an overnight knowingness. Let's call it an overnight knowingness. You didn't know who the hell he was a day ago, and for some of you, you didn't know who he was. So now there's an overnight knowingness. Nobody knew who he was. Now people actually know who he is. Because there's no such thing as an overnight success. You think of this kid in terms of hockey. You're looking at about 5 years in what I would call the minor leagues. Okay, so baseball has minor leagues, and then you get to go up to the majors and the big leagues. And there's farm systems that people have. And so this farm system is kind of where they sit and they groom you. And you play games until your number gets called. And if you're fortunate enough, you put in hard enough work, your number's going to get called, and you are going to get a chance to go play with the pros. And this guy got the call, and not only did he respond to the call, he responded in a way that they went on an 11-game win streak. He responded in a way that they have been riding his back many times through the playoffs. This overnight sensation, but nobody saw the hours and hours and hours of work that he has put in. Nobody has seen him get knocked down and get back up again. Nobody has seen him go through the challenges that he's had to go through to get to where he is today. And people make comments like, oh, that person must be so lucky. Oh, it must be nice to have that opportunity. But what about the work that it takes to get there? And that's the point of this whole entire conversation right now, is that success takes work. Like, no matter what area of your life that you look at, success takes work. If you want to have a successful marriage, or if you want to have a successful relationship, it takes work. And if you burn the house down, in other words, if you burn down your relationship, you can't expect it to be a quote unquote overnight success. It takes work to rebuild that relationship. And if you're in a relationship that's decent, but you just want it to be passionate and intimate, and you're looking for that to happen, just because you're kind for 2 days this week does not mean that it just happens. It happens from consistency of doing the work day in and day out. And then when you get knocked down, you get back up again. Nobody knows the moment at which you're going to be called up into the pros, so to speak. Nobody knows the moment when all of a sudden you hit and land the mothership. Like all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been working so hard for. No one knows that moment. But what I do know is if you stop doing the work, you will definitely not get there. But if you're willing to get knocked down and get back up again, if you're willing to continue to move forward, to get to that place of where it is that you want to be, if you're willing to go all in, if you're willing to be consistent in doing the work, if you're willing to stop beating the shit out of yourself when things don't go your way, and you're willing to learn lessons from those that allow you to course correct and move in the direction of where it is that you want to go, you will eventually get there. Because success takes work. So where in your life, when you look at your life across your relationships, your health, your business, your spirituality, your connection, all of these things, if you have a vision for them, a goal for them, all of these things take time and consistency to get to where you want to go. And I get it, it's easy to get frustrated. But if you're willing to take consistent action, you'll get there. You got to have clarity. You got to know where it is that you want to go. You have to be willing to do the work, put in the work that's necessary, and you have to do so on a consistent basis. If you've been an asshole to your wife for the last 2 years, and you all of a sudden realize that you've been an asshole and that you need to change your ways, guess what? It takes work. And just because you're kind and you go out and buy flowers and maybe clean the house and do the dishes one night does not fix 2 years worth of you being a butthead. But if you consistently do the work over and over and over again and pour into your relationship and take care of yourself and pour into your relationship and take care of yourself and pour into your relationship and take care of yourself, and you do it consistently over time, then you start to make deposits into your relationship, and two years from now, you probably have a greater love connection than ever before. 2 years from now, you possibly have a greater intimacy with your wife than ever before, your spouse or significant other than ever before. But it takes work. It's not an overnight success. Business is the same way. It takes work and it takes consistency. So where in your life, when you look at your life right now, where in your life across body, being, balance, and business, where is it that you expect it should have already happened, man? I'm frustrated. It should have already happened. Where are you looking at your life that way where like it really should have already happened? And you get pissed and you get frustrated. Like identify that area and then ask, how consistent have I been doing the work? Because you can't complain when consistency's not there. And if you have been consistently doing the work, then the question has to be, okay, great, then what are the lessons that I'm learning from the work that I'm doing? And do I need to course correct? I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of taking an action and just tweaking it enough. You know, I'm excited because boating season is coming here. Like, well, it's already started, but man, in a couple days, I'm going to be on my boat. And I tell you, like, what's so cool about driving a boat is that I only have to hit the steering wheel a little bit, like to the left or to the right. And if I keep it in that direction, it'll just turn the boat all the way across the lake. It changes trajectory. So where in your life then, as we talk about this, you go, well, man, I'm already taking actions. Well, where do we just need to make a tweak? Just a small tweak, a small turn of the wheel to just course correct you, just to get you in alignment to where it is that you want to go. But what I can tell you is that if you get frustrated because you're not where you want to be right now, if you get frustrated and you give up, you'll never get there. And you have to remember the Jordan Benningtons of the world are the people who've gotten knocked down, but they get back up. Wait 5 years to get a chance to get into the NHL. And now he's grabbing the bull by the horns. And he's taking every ounce of advantage that he can of this situation. And he's proving himself. But he's proving himself to everyone else. He already knew what he could do on the inside. Folks, you already know what you're capable of. You already know that you have what it takes to create big shit in your life. You know that. And if you don't, then that's another conversation that we must have. Hell, reach out to me. Dr. Troy at commitandgo.com. Reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to create a dialogue with you. Because you have inside of you everything that you need. But the one area that I see that people consistently, here's the word too, no pun intended, consistently do, is they stop taking the consistent action. They get frustrated. They throw their hands up in the air, only to reboot 2 weeks later. You have to stay in it through thick and thin. Not just when times are going great and you're winning the game, but when you're feeling down and out and frustrated. You've got to roll up your sleeves and remember why you're doing all this in the first place. And eventually, you will get there. And hell, you'll even be an overnight success. That's all I've got for you here today, folks. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure you head on over to iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and I'd just love it and be so honored if you would just give me a review or rate or even subscribe to the podcast and even share it with people that you love, honor, and appreciate that you think can benefit from this podcast and the fire I deliver here every week, Monday through Friday. And finally, make sure if you are interested in the Summer Splash Mastermind, baby, we are getting ready to launch this thing. It's going to be so much fun. You get to work with me for 12 weeks on accountability and making sure that you hit your targets and goals that you have by the end of the summer while still having fun and not sacrificing family or time for yourself or for your family and your loved ones. So email me, drtroy@commitandgo.com. That's all I've got for you here today. I am Dr. Troy Dukowitz. This has been the Commit and Go podcast, where we encourage you to make big commitments, take big action to create big ass results in your life and business. We'll hear you next time.